Hi everyone, my name is Kyron Moses. I'm one of the owners of Body Escape Massage Center. I'm a massage therapist. Been a massage therapist since 2003. I want to thank Charles for letting me come down and talk to you all. I'm going to talk to you about muscles. Massage therapists we deal a lot with muscles. Charles does as well. We get the opportunity to put our hands on them though, try to help our clients get better, feel better. And first I'll start off by telling you a little bit about me, a little bit about our business, and then we'll talk more about muscles. I have always been interested in human physiology. Ever since I was a kid, I was always a science nerd. Growing up, wanted to learn more about the body and how it works and everything. And I used to think that we were robots on the inside because nothing could be as complicated and intricate as a robot. So I thought we were all robots. And in fifth grade, I had we went through the digestive system with the little anatomical dummy where you could pull the organs out and everything. And I never got to be one of the people who pulled the organs out. But I was like, I need to be learning that stuff. I went to massage therapy school in 2001 and graduated in 2003, got licensed, and got my first massage job. And I actually went to massage therapy school just so that I could learn about the science side of it. I wasn't really all that interested in massage. And after about a year of school, I said, well, at some point I'm going to have to work, so I better figure out how to be a good massage therapist too. But I was always good at the science classes. Those things came easy for me, so I had to really work to be good at the massage. And that's kind of a lesson for me, and I see that a lot with my clients and anyone. It's like you're always good at something, but some of the things that you want to be good at, you have to work a little harder at. So I got my first massage therapy job about a year after I graduated, and I worked for a chiropractor for about 4 years. And I got a lot of repetition. We worked on people for about 10 or 15 minutes, and they were usually fully clothed. It was very difficult work, very arduous, but I had an opportunity to work with so many people. I learned a lot and became pretty adept at the things that I do. We saw people about 3 times a week, so we had an opportunity to see people who would come in sometimes literally screaming in pain. And in 2 weeks, they're talking and laughing and telling you about their life outside of their own health, which was very powerful for me because I thought that these people were really cranky or really negative, and I realized they were in pain. And when you're in pain, your life, everything that you do is harder. And one of the things that we pride ourselves on doing is being people who can help you feel a little bit better, even if it's not 100%, it's a little bit better. Because you can go to the doctor and the doctor can write you a prescription, but they can't make you feel better in the office. Usually you have to go to the pharmacy and then wait a couple hours before something kicks in, pain medication wise. So we're kind of like, I guess, first responders for pain. I spent about 9 years in my late teens, early 20s. I studied martial arts. I have a third-degree black belt in Kempo karate. I spent 9 years learning how to defend yourself and using not so nice ways to defend yourself. So I learned 9 years this is how you hurt people, or this is how you prevent yourself from being hurt. And after that, my wife was pregnant and was like, I'm a family man now. I don't really need to be spending time each week going and teaching or studying something that you're never supposed to use. So I said, well, let me go back to school, and that was when I went in for massage therapy. And so I've spent the last, however many years that is, 9 years, learning how people hurt and hopefully learning how to help people out of their pain. And it's some of the knowledge is applicable, as far as the structure of the human body. You learn about, the intrinsic strength that everyone has. It's just based on your structure, learning how to use that for massage applications. A lot of it just has to do with intention and thinking nice thoughts instead of thinking, I'm really scared, I don't want this person to hurt me. So I also was a health nut for a long time. I was vegetarian for about 11 years. Didn't eat started bodybuilding. Started lifting weights. Some of you might notice that I lift weights a little bit, but that's it's a good reason to stay in shape for me. Short-term goals are more helpful to me than long-term goals. And I started bodybuilding about 8 years ago, and in the course of bodybuilding, I found out that what you put into your body is what you get out of your body is what you put into it. And so I changed my diet a little bit and noticed some things that were helpful to me as far as muscle gains and energy and that type of thing. Digestive problems that I had in the past went away, and learning what works for your body that was another way I learned that lesson, and I use that as a massage therapist. It's not every person who comes to me gets the same massage. I'll have some people say, well, do exactly what you did last time, and I'll go, you first. Like, I can't give people the same massage that I gave them, a couple of weeks before, because they might not be the same. I do what needs to be done, and it's not like a cookie cutter type massage. I'm a pro bodybuilder. I've been doing that for 8 years. I've only been pro about 3 years. That stuff's kind of boring to talk about because it seems it's kind of a little egotistical, but it's a good way to stay in shape if you have a goal in mind. And I think most people who exercise, and maybe Charles will agree with me, some people have an idea about how they want to look based on their activity. So I think everybody on some level is a bodybuilder. You work out for aesthetics. If you want to get into a dress for a wedding, or if you want to be able to fit your softball uniform, or if you want to be able to run up a hill, that's functional. But sometimes people, humans are visual people, so you want to look good, and you want to have some type of visual representation of what your efforts are being put towards, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as it doesn't become the only reason. It's hard to tell someone in their 20s, eat healthy and exercise for heart health in your 70s. But if you tell someone in their 20s, eat healthy and exercise because you have a marathon coming up, or because you're doing a photo shoot, those short-term goals work better for short-sighted young people. Like I'm not that young anymore. But, so that's a little bit about me. Our massage therapy business, we're down by Raising Cane's. If everyone knows where Raising Cane's and Max and Irma's is, right on Hill Road. We opened in 2010. Michelle and I worked together at the chiropractor's office. That was my first job. I actually massaged her when I was in massage school, and that was how we met. And then she ended up working at the place that I got my first job at. So, we're not married. I'm married to somebody else. You guys are married. Just by the business. And we're both very passionate about massage therapy, and it started out as just two of us. We were in the building where the medical clinic is. There's a Stone Creek office complex that's between Raising Cane's and Max and Irma's. And they kicked us out after about 6 months and said the doctors want the entire building, so you guys have to move. So we're up front, closer to Hill Road now. So we'll be celebrating our 5th year in business in June. So we're pretty proud about that. We have 7 therapists, including an acupuncturist now. So we grew pretty quickly. We've had more therapists at some point, but we want to get people that have our same mindset and are wanting to get better, but also have a certain level of skill and care to take with each client. So we want to differentiate ourselves between our competitors, like there's a place down the street in Old Pickerington, I won't mention it, but they're more of a spa environment that they do other things besides massage therapy. We want to specialize in that. And before Massage Envy opened up, we were the only place in Pickerington, or at least on Hill Road, that only did massage therapy. There's a lot of other chiropractors and stuff that offer that, but we were the only place you could come and get that. And we're doing well. We can always do better, but that's a little bit about the business. Now talk about muscles. How many people in here are as flexible as they want to be? If you raise your hand, I'm not going to raise my hand. So no one is. How many people are as strong as they want to be? No one is there. Everyone wants to get stronger. Everyone wants to get more flexible. Well, what are the reasons? What are the barriers to that? Well, first of all, I'll pick on you. If you, let's say you gain more flexibility. Let's say you can't touch your toes, and all of a sudden you are able to touch your toes. Do your hamstrings and your back muscles get longer?
I don't think they get longer. I think they just get looser.
Okay. You're right. A lot of people might think that flexibility is something that's unattainable, but if you at some point when you were a child could do splits, the only thing that's changed is your behavior, not your muscles. Your muscles don't get shorter or longer. There's neural control over how long your body says, well, you can go this far or that far. Everyone knows the pneumatic arms on the doors that'll open the door up and it'll close quickly or slowly, or it won't open up as far. And that's like the neural control that we have with our muscles. And the same thing with strength. If you want to gain strength, you have to progressively overload the muscle, and you have to do it consistently. That's how you gain strength. So you train your muscle to be flexible, or you train your muscle to be strong, but it has to be consistent and repetitive to such a degree that it will change. Why am I talking about those things? Nothing to do with massage. Well, we deal with muscles all the time, and dysfunction in muscles is why we have a business. About about 40% of your metabolism is in your thighs. So if someone is looking to trim down, if someone is looking to gain weight, gain muscle, and you're not working your thighs or your quads sufficiently, it's going to be a little hard to do that. If you've ever seen an infomercial, if you're up late at night like I am, a lot of them focus on your core muscles and your abs. And it's good to have core strength, but most people, unless you've had some type of a neural injury, brain injury or something like that, or surgery, once you can walk as a 2-year-old, your core is strong enough. It's not a primary mover. It's something that supports your body as it moves. And your back really is what keeps you upright. But your metabolism, as far as how much energy you burn throughout the day, or how much your caloric needs are for the day, whether or not you lose or gain weight, a lot of it has to do with your muscles and how much energy they need. So when you train your muscle consistently, like we're talking about strength or flexibility, you change tone. What is muscle tone? Muscle tone depends on what you're talking about. But at rest, it's the amount of tension that's in your muscle at rest. That's the basic meaning for it. So, if I was to lay down on the floor, there'd still be a little bit of tension, in my back muscles, even though I was laying down, or in my legs, and that takes energy. So the more muscle you have, the more energy you burn. The more tone you have in your muscle, the more energy you burn, because that takes energy. And that's why exercising is good for so many things about your health. You don't have to have more muscle, but you can have more tone and burn more energy that way. So it's great for any myriad of illnesses. And the great thing about training your muscle and getting more muscle tone is you usually see a visual representation of your efforts, and that's good for everybody. Now, who has heard of the IT band? Heard of the IT band? Heard of the IT band? A lot of people say, well, my IT band is tight. I'm just not flexible. My IT band, my hips are so tight, my knees hurting because of my IT band. Well, the IT band I'll ask you, is the IT band a muscle, ligament, or tendon?
I've never heard of it, so I have no idea.
All right. Okay, someone who's heard of the IT band. Who's heard of the IT band? Okay.
I assume it's a muscle.
Okay.
Assume.
Okay. That's a good guess. Anyone else have a muscle, tendon, or ligament?
I see tendon.
Tendon, okay. All right. Well, it's a tendon. And it's a very large tendon, largest, longest tendon in your body. Now, the reason I'm kind of picking on IT band is because there's sometimes like a mental barrier to things that you want to accomplish physically. And I'm kind of I'm a huge nerd, but I'm kind of a stickler for some things. And I think if you have correct information, then you can have correct action. And ligaments, everyone knows, ligaments connect bone to bone. Tendons connect muscle to bone, or muscle to muscle. And muscles are muscles. The only one of those three things that actually moves on its own is muscle. You don't have any movement in your body without muscles. Okay, so what are tendons? Tendons are a continuation of muscle. All the parts of the muscle that don't move, that connect to the bone. And ligaments are something different entirely. Ligaments have no flexibility, and if they're stretched, they don't go back together. So if you hear about ACL tears, or, once they're ripped, that's done. They don't heal. They don't have any blood supply, so they can't heal, and there's no flexibility in them. There's no elasticity. It's all collagen. Same thing that makes up your fingernails. That's what ligaments are made of, with some other things in the matrix also. But there's no flexibility in it. There's no spring. Tendons are only slightly more elastic than ligaments. It'll be the equivalent of if I was going to put a 50-pound pile of bricks on the floor and then get like a regular rope and a bungee rope. Well, which one would make it easier for you to tug the bricks across the floor? Probably the regular rope, because the bungee rope is going to stretch out and allow the force I'm exerting to be, spread out over the elastic. So tendons aren't very elastic; they're just slightly more elastic than ligaments. Well, why am I saying all this stuff? Well, the IT band is always tight. It's supposed to be tight. So the muscles that actually pull on it to make it tighter than it should be are your gluteus maximus muscle. Everybody has those. And there's another muscle. If you're sitting with your legs crossed or your leg out, if you put your hands on the top of your hips and you keep your knee locked and raise it straight up, there's this little knot or ball that you feel right under that. That muscle is probably about the size of only about that big. And that's your TFL, your tensor fasciae latae muscle. And I bet no one in here but Charles has probably heard of that muscle. So IT band runs all the way down the outside of your thigh. Usually it's very sore if Charles has you use foam rollers or tortures you guys with stretches and stuff. Well, the muscle right here, it's very small and it's supposed to be tight. If your legs are like your legs have these two suspenders that hold your hip cavity together, and the outside one is the IT band. So it's supposed to be tight. Oh, so why do people call them tight IT bands? Why are hips so tight? Gluteal trigger points, tight glutes, and tight TFL muscles. So knowing which muscles pull on that and make it too tight, kind of give you a way to get it loose because you know which way to attack it. So that's why I'm kind of a stickler about some stuff, and if you're aware of which muscle it is that you want to train or you want to make more flexible, then you can have a better action towards that goal. So as far as strength in your muscles, well, there's a couple different types of strength. A few I think of. You have intrinsic strength, which is the strength that's there. It's not going anywhere. Surgeon's scalpel and go around my wrist. I couldn't pull my arm up my skin up like a sleeve because at some points on my body the skin is anchored to structures beneath it. Same as with the muscle. There's parts where you can grab the muscle and wobble it around, but where it attaches to the bone, it's not going to move. So fascia connects every cell to every other cell, every organ to every other organ. And as far as myofascia is just the fascia that deals with the neuromuscular model, our muscles, ligaments, tendons, and anything involved with our ambulation, us being able to move. Well, we can have dysfunction in our muscle and also in our myofascia that either mimic problems or illnesses or cause dysfunction in other areas of the body. That's what we call trigger points or myofascial points. For instance, has anyone ever used a computer for a day or two and then they have like a headache in their temple right around here? They can't turn their head this way, and it just maybe even their jaw starts hurting or their eye starts kind of going wonky. Has that ever happened to anyone? Getting a temple headache or a headache around through here? If it hasn't happened to you, consider yourself lucky. But that comes from a trigger point in your levator scapulae muscle, which is along the back of your neck, right in here. So if I have someone come into my office and they'll tell me, I'll go, do you work on a computer? Yes. And I have a headache, it kind of goes up like this and wraps around, it does that. I'll go, oh, it's this, and I'll go, yes, that's it. Trigger points can refer or mimic pain or dysfunction in other areas of the body. It's not a headache, it just feels like a headache because there's a knot in the muscle. Myofascia, if anyone's ever had foot surgery or turned their ankle and had to wear a walking boot, well, you find that at the end of a week or two, at the end of a week or two, your hip hurts, right? And your low back, because you move differently. So everyone has their own neuromuscular model. I may be, someone who stands like this. That's just my natural posture. There's nothing wrong with it. Some people just have more rounded shoulders. Or I may be someone who has very good posture, but that's just, you can't take what works for someone else and apply it to another person as far as what their neuromuscular model is. But as massage therapists, we're trained to find the areas that aren't functioning properly, get them released so that you are more like how you should be. We all we do is just help our clients get out of their own way, so the pain goes away. Orange is all done. Thank you. I'm terrible catching stuff. So if I'm going to heal one of these oranges, I'm going to peel both of them. And the myofascia, everyone knows what oranges look like on the inside. And this is similar to what massage therapy would do. And I'm not putting very much pressure on there. All I'm doing is this. I'm just doing that. And the trick is not to use too much pressure, because if I step on it too hard, it's going to pop. It's going to burst. And when you massage someone, if you use too much pressure, what will happen is they'll resist you, because one of the functions of muscle is protective. If I have Charles lay down on the floor and I hold a 20-pound dumbbell over his stomach, chances are he's going to tense his stomach up before I drop it to protect his organs. If you sneeze, one of the reasons your abdominal muscles tense up, your pelvic muscles tense up, is to protect the internal muscles from the shaking associated with the sneeze. So muscles have a protective role as well. If anyone's ever been in a car accident or known someone that's been in a car accident and had whiplash, a lot of times it might take a day or two before the pain sinks in, because what happens is the muscles say, hey, we didn't like that rapid deacceleration of our neck flexing forward and the head yanking back. It takes a while for that message to get sent and say, let's make it so the neck never moves like that again. So the muscles will tighten up and they feel like they're going to die because of so much pain. But they'll say, oh, they had an accident, I feel fine. It just takes a while for the muscle to acclimate to that. So even though I've been standing on this thing, it's a little hard right here. But it's kind of gross. I'm sorry, but I think the floor is clean at least, because my shoes aren't that clean. And just feel the difference in them. I'm so sorry. touch on the squashed orange. So one of those has been massaged, and the other one has not been massaged. Myofascia also can restrict nerves. If anyone's known someone that's had a surgery and they get adhesions, especially knee surgeries. I have a guy I worked on, this accountant I worked on Saturday. He had meniscus tear. He can't bend his knee past a certain point. His meniscus was repaired, but the scar healed so pervasively that it needs to be broken up so that he can have that full functionality back in his knees. So now I'm going to peel. So first I'll peel the one that I didn't. And I'll tell you, I'll stop if I can't get it all in one pill. But this is the one that I didn't heal. But as soon as it, okay. All right, so it's still pretty stiff, still pretty tight. And this one's still got kind of a tight area right here. But if I start in a spot like that and peel it off, and you'll see how much more easily the orange can be peeled. So this is what we do for people when they come and get massaged. The skin doesn't adhere to the subcutaneous fascia. The subcutaneous fascia doesn't adhere to the nerves. So I got all that off in one peel. So everything's still intact. There's a little bit of seepage there and everything, but I didn't crush any of the segments of the oranges. But you know, trying to function when you feel like this is pretty difficult. Becoming more facile, more supple. The habits that you have as far as stretching, movement, can make it easier for you to maintain fluidity, move without effort. The tighter you are, the more tension you have in your muscles as far as lack of flexibility or lack of suppleness, the more energy it takes to move. So if you drive around town with half full tires, you're going to burn a lot of gas. So imagine if your muscles are like that. Like I'm always tight in my thighs and my calves are tight. Well, you still have to use those to move around. So guess what? It takes your hip flexors more energy to move your thighs. It takes your tibialis more energy to move your calf muscle. So you lose more energy than you generate if you have tight muscles. Now, as far as massage, your areas that you're not aware of, areas if you have mechanical damage, like I talked about, scarring, adhesions, the IT band. Sometimes they're just areas that you don't necessarily know how to stretch, or it's not safe for you to stretch. Like some people that have had joint replacements, working on areas that you can't get to yourself. Massage is great for that. And just kind of getting you back in touch with how your body feels. I tell my clients, after you get a massage, how you feel after you get a massage, when you stop feeling like that in the morning when you wake up, it's time to get another one. You should feel recovered and relaxed after resting, not like, I need to take a nap. You have recovered from sleeping all night. I feel so sore and tired. It should be restorative instead of something that just drains you. And sometimes it's your muscles have so much tension in them. And I don't want to confuse tension with tone. Tone is healthy. Tension is too much tone. If I'm going to hold a 5-pound weight in my arm, there's going to be more tension in my bicep. But if I drop that weight, the tension stays. I'm using energy for no purpose. It does help from the caloric standpoint, but how many people say, well, I sleep, I try to eat healthy, but I always feel tired. Why do I always feel so tired? Your body physically does need to be relaxed so that you can stop operating in an energy deficit. Massage can help with that. Taking the tension that's in your muscles that's become intrinsic and it shouldn't be, taking that out, restoring a normal resting length to your muscles, stretching you out, mechanically separating the adhesions, releasing trigger points, actually can make you relax better and sleep better. That's one of the best side effects of the massage. Well, I think that's all. This is like an AMA portion. Ask me anything. If anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, I have some brochures up here and a couple of cards and some $20 off gift certificates if anyone's interested. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, sir.
You kind of got my attention when you said about the knee surgeries.
Uh-huh.
I've had 3 on this one and 2 on this one.
Okay.
And I have a hard time if I kneel down to get something out of, down off the floor or something, I basically got to,
Yeah. Yeah,
it
whenever your muscle is cut, whenever your body is cut, your body doesn't know the difference between a scalpel and a switchblade. It could be a mugger or a neurosurgeon. So how your body responds to that insult can sometimes be greater than what it was actually doing, healing. So you have to, usually through physical therapy or through personal training, is you'll regain functionality in that joint, but there's only a certain point. Usually people, if they have physical therapy, they say, we'll pay for 10 visits for a knee surgery. Well, he may need 20, somebody else may only need 8. It's just different for every person. What's happening is your knees, your muscles are protecting your knee from that range of motion that it sees as being damaging. So it's just something you kind of have to push. But if the surgery is successful, then I would say it's okay to go ahead and push it to get to where you actually have some more range of motion. But since you've had multiple surgeries on it, it's possible that there's still more damage. Have they told you that you're biding your time, you'll have to have a replacement by the time you're okay? So yeah,
Especially with this one.
yeah. So what I would do is wear a neoprene sleeve, which helps keep it warm. Your synovial fluid in your joints, the warmer it is, the more viscous it is. Just like honey. If honey's cold, it's almost like ice, and if it's warm, it's pretty fluid. So that I wouldn't let my knees get cold, and I would try not to sit in a position where my knees were torqued for too long.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you drive at all, but if you drive a clutch or something like that, those things are murdering people's knees. But I used to have knee problems, and I would sit with my legs crossed, and just that little torque on my knee, I did not go to straighten it out of a kip. One of the other things that's pretty helpful if you have a chiropractor or a physical therapist you go to is E-stim. I'm a big proponent of electrical stimulation or TENS units for joint problems. Those work really well too. Okay? And you can give him massage too. Because what happens is he comes in for knee problems, and I go, oh wow, what's your name?
Brian.
Brian. I said, Brian, yeah, there's only so much I can do for your knee. That's you've got 15 years and you might need a knee replacement. But you know what? Can you feel that in your low back? He go, yeah, I don't really notice that because my knee is an 8, my low back's a 4. But if I can make his low back a 0, maybe his knee might feel like a 7. So it's the entire body we work on, and not just focusing on that one area. And chances are you're only going to be aware of the high points of your pain or dysfunction. But through kind of getting in touch with your body, say, okay, I notice now when I feel tension in my shoulders, and 3 days later that causes me to have a migraine. You'll start to pick up on those signals that you get from your body. Does anyone else have a question?
Your regular clients, how often do they see you? Say on average. Right?
4 weeks is the average.
Yeah, so like once a month?
4 weeks. Some people I see every 2 weeks.
Okay.
Some people once a month. Some people I'll see them a couple times a year. And I know them, so I consider them that's regular for them.
Mm-hmm.
Some like my runners, for instance, I see them once a week while they're training for marathons, and then I won't see them, through the holidays or whatever because they're not running. But if someone doesn't have like an extreme hobby, like working 65-hour weeks or training for a half marathon or doing CrossFit, then I may not see them as regularly as someone who kind of has more of a moderate lifestyle. But generally, by the time you feel like you need to get a massage, it's probably past time. Just like, a massage is most closely related to, from a physiological standpoint, to exercise. And with exercise, let's say you get, okay, I can run 5K in, what's a good time for a 5K?
I don't run.
20 minutes. I can run 3 miles in 20 minutes. Once I stop running, I might have a week or two before I lose that ability. But for that week or two, I still have it. So massage is kind of the same. If you get it regularly, you get to where you're feeling good, what happens? People stop coming in. That happens a lot with chiropractors. At least it did when I was working. They'd come in 3 times a week, and then, like I said, they'd start off with just pain or cranky, and then they're telling you about their family, and they're giggling. And then you don't see them. And then 6 months later or a year later, they come back, that pain came back, and it's like, well, the reason it went away was because you changed your habits or you added new habits. And just like exercise, massage is the same way. It's generally better if you are on a regimen, even if it's 3 times a year, 4 times a year. I mean, if somebody got massaged every month, I think that's, I'm not great with math, but I think that's 12 times a year. If somebody got every 2 months, it's 6 times a year. I mean, sometimes people say, oh, that's kind of expensive, but it's, dinner and a movie. It's about the same thing. And dinner and a movie generally don't, you're not going to feel better the next day because of it. It's not going to help you sleep better, unless it's a really good dinner. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you all for letting me come and talk to you. Again, my name is Kyron Moses. We're at Body and State Massage Center. And thank you. I get to have my dinner.